Canto 1, Chapter 9, Text number 30, 1930. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tatodayam Udhirayat. So text 30. That's the meter. To different meter. I'll try. Tato pasamhrita gira sahasranir Vimukta sangamana adi purushe Krishneda satpita pade chatur bhuje Parastate midata dhig vidharayat Tadopasam hritya girasasra ranir Vimukta sangamana adi purushe Krishnena satpita pate chatur bhuje Parastate midita drig vidharayat. Thereupon that man who spoke on different subjects with thousands of meetings and who fought on thousands of battlefields and protected thousands of men stopped speaking and completely free from all bondage withdrew his mind from everything else and fixed his wide open eyes upon the original personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, who stood before him four-handed in yellow garments that glittered and shined. Purport by Srila Prabhupada, who's going to quote Bhagavad Gita for us. In the momentous hour of leaving the material body, Bhishma Dev set the glorious example concerning the important function of the human form of life. In italics, the subject matter which attracts the dying man becomes the beginning of his next life. Therefore, if one is absorbed in thoughts of the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, he is sure to go back to Godhead without any doubt. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 8, 5 through 15, and he quotes the verses. And whoever at the time of death quits his body remembering me, alone at once attains my nature. Of this there is no doubt. 6. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, that state he will attain without fail. 7. Therefore, O Arjuna, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna, and at the same time carry out your prescribed duty of fighting. With your activities dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed in me, you will attain me without a doubt. 8. He who meditates on the Supreme Personality of God in his mind is constantly engaged in remembering me, undeviated from the path. He, O Partha, Arjuna, is sure to reach me. 9. One should meditate upon the Supreme Person as one who knows everything, as he who is the oldest, who is the controller, who is smaller than the smallest, and who is the maintainer of everything, who is beyond all material conception, who is inconceivable, and who is always a person. He is luminous like the sun, and being transcendental is beyond this material nature. 10. One who, at the time of death, fixes his life air between the eyebrows and in full devotion engages himself in remembering the Supreme Lord, will certainly attain to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. 11. Persons learned in the Vedas who utter Omkara and who are great sages in the renounced order enter into Brahman. Desiring such perfection, one practices celibacy. I shall now explain to you this process by which one may attain salvation. Of 12. The yogic situation is that of detachment from all sensual engagements, closing all the doors of the senses and fixing the mind on the heart and the life air at the top of the head. One establishes himself in yoga. 13. After being situated in this yoga practice and vibrating the sacred syllable Om, the supreme combination of letters, if one thinks of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and quits his body, he will certainly reach the spiritual planets. 14. For one who remembers me without deviation, I am easy to obtain, O son of Pritha, because of his constant engagement in devotional service. That's remembering Krishna without deviation. And 15. After attaining me, the great souls who are yogis in devotion never return to this temporary world, which is full of miseries, because they have attained the highest perfection. Final paragraph. Sri Bhishma Dev attained the perfection of quitting his body at will, and was fortunate enough to have Lord Krishna, the object of his attention, personally present at the time of death. He therefore fixed his open eyes upon him. He wanted to see Sri Krishna for a long time, out of his spontaneous love for him. Because he was a pure devotee, he had very little to do with the detailed performance of yogic principles. Simple bhakti yoga is enough to bring about perfection. Therefore, the ardent desire of Bhishma Dev was to see the person of Lord Krishna, the most lovable object, and by the grace of the Lord, Sri Bhishma Dev had this opportunity at the last stage of his breathing. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chakshunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. The graduate study of the undergraduate study, Srimad Bhagavatam, in comparison to Bhagavad Gita. It's not different principles. It's the same principles. And through Purana, or through ancient history, the principles are given life. This is what it looks like. Or here's one example, at least, of what it looks like. Now, having gone through the yogic principles, the final paragraph says Bhishma Dev was not so interested in although he knew he wasn't so interested in the yogic principles because simple bhakti was sufficient for him. He didn't need something else. We're going to be hearing some more about this spiritualization of mamata, spiritualization of, like that chart from yesterday evening class, the spiritualization of life through the bhakti process, the diminishing of the material conception, the attachment eventually through loving service to the eternal object, the perfection of meditation. So Bhishma Dev was there. In one sense, Bhishma Dev didn't need Krishna to be standing before him and his gazing into his eyes in order for him to be always seeing Krishna, because that's also discussed in Bhagavad Gita. He was always seeing Krishna, always mind fixed upon Krishna, manmana. And not just casual, but absorbed. So always seeing Krishna within while doing everything and everything and everything. So that's the recommendation. It's a little high. Therefore, Arjuna, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna and at the same time carry out your prescribed duty. Good luck. You need your work situation, the 9 to 5 situation, prescribed duty, and always have your mind fixed on Krishna, the form of Krishna. Of course, the form of Krishna and the name of Krishna and the qualities of Krishna. So the Krishna bhakti becomes awakened by sadhana, and as sadhana becomes strengthened, then distractions become weakened. This is just repeating what we heard yesterday. Distractions become weakened, and even when you're doing prescribed duties, because awakened consciousness, as consciousness becomes awakened, then it's kind of like a parallel processor or something, that the consciousness is upon Krishna, and I'm doing this or that or the next thing for Krishna. So it's the dovetail principle enhances the remembering of Krishna. And that's certainly possible. That I'm doing this for Krishna. It takes some attachment to Krishna to be always thinking that I'm doing this for Krishna, because so we're doing it thing for some other purpose or some other objective. Fruitive activity is you do something to get something. And diminishing of fruitive activity, you replace that to get something with the constitutional position of the soul, to please Krishna. I'm doing something to please Krishna. Or I'm not doing something because it's not pleasing Krishna. So that's the accepting and rejecting. But that's possible. That's a principle that becomes possible in a mature stage when there's some attachment, a taste and then attachment, and then further stages of bhakti. So before the further stages, there's the preliminary there's practice. And practice and practice where... So Bhishma Deva has already practiced, as said, thousands of battles and thousands of this and thousands of that. See, he's been through a lot. He's very elderly, grandfather. And fixed. Completely fixed. Moving by the will of Krishna. Or not moving by the... So Krishna is sanctioning his departure at this particular time. Otherwise, how could he depart at any time of his choosing? Krishna has to sanction that. And his desire was intensified remembrance of Krishna. He was always remembering Krishna, but intensified by eye to eye, just seeing the smiling face of Krishna. Of course, we discussed this yesterday in the presence of great personalities. The Pandavas, Vyasadeva, and whoever else was in the assembly, and in Krishna's presence directly. It's one of those Vaishnava principles that when somebody gets in some medical difficulty, then it's nice to personally pay a visit to that person if circumstance permits. Personally pay a visit, and that presence helps create auspiciousness. Now, sometimes people are like in a coma or not in a conscious state. Nonetheless, auspiciousness is created, and then by sound vibration, auspiciousness is further created. So to create circumstances where the soul can leave the body voluntarily or involuntarily by circumstance, creating auspiciousness. So in Bhishma Dev's case, let's go back to what the purport is saying. Although he knew all kinds of things, we discussed this yesterday, he didn't have to wait for an auspicious time, but he chose to wait for an auspicious time. One can say at least to set an example, but the assistance of auspiciousness we accept because it assists in auspiciousness. A little bit, it's not the same, but it's a little bit like the discussion yesterday evening about the stage of nishtha, steadiness that's created by bhakti itself, or nishtha that's created by those things that are favorable to bhakti. So if one is bhakti, sakshat bhakti, fixed, then circumstances are needed. Still doesn't mean one may not choose auspiciousness. Anyway. Bhishma Dev setting an example. He's a pure devotee. He's done volumes and volumes and volumes and volumes of service unto Krishna, and in conjunction with many, many, many others. Grandfather Bhishma's great personality. One of our Mahajanas, Bhishma Dev. And his passing is a big deal. And it's so it's taking a prominent role in upcoming verses. So there's going to be more discussion about what we might do, or based upon what Bhishma Dev did, what we might do when that circumstance, inevitable circumstance comes. How to prepare ourselves in this life, and when that moment comes, how to be fixed as far as circumstance permits. Life of devotion, where Manmana, the first of the four, Bhava Mad Bhakto Madhyaji Mam Namaskuru, the first of the four has been practiced and practiced, Manmana. And hearing Srimad Bhagavatam and these five essential, most important activities for bhakti, they're all with Krishna at the center. Any one of them or combination of them, good. It'll help us in the manmana position. And then we repeat and repeat and we repeat. With devotion, we repeat. to attract Krishna's favor and to keep our hearts pure and fit to attract Krishna. One of the statements about Krishna's appearance, he appears first in the mind of Vasudeva before he's transferred from the mind of Vasudeva to the mind of Devaki, and from the mind of Devaki to the womb of Devaki. So Krishna's attracted to make his appearance in the mind of Vasudeva because his mind was pure. Krishna's attracted to a place that's pure. He can make anything pure by his presence, but he's attracted, naturally, attracted to a place that's pure. So that's what we, like the question that was raised yesterday from our side and from Krishna's side. From our side, make the circumstance inviting for Krishna to appear. And by his own choosing, he may. We'll hear some more about that in this evening's class. When that stage of nishtha and then further ruchi, then spurti, Krishna may, if it's attractive, Krishna may make a sudden appearance and then disappear, as he did, say, in the case of Narada in his previous life, as Narada narrates to Vyasa. Krishna appeared and then suddenly disappeared. He was startled. And then a voice. Normally I'm not seen until one becomes fully purified, but I appeared to encourage you, so for the rest of your life you'll be searching for me. So go on, search for me, and you will come to me. So Krishna may make a sudden appearance. Who knows? But at least what we can do is make the circumstance inviting for Krishna to appear, because it's voluntary on his side. There's something we can do on our side. Make manmana, make the mind, by the proper processes, make the mind clean and attractive for Krishna to appear. Let's see if there's some discussion. Yes, in the back.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj, thank you so much. I was just, this verse, the thought that came to my mind when I read this verse as you were reading as well, and the last paragraph, both the translation and the last paragraph. So like about a month back, my mother passed away. And I was like, we were with her at the time of passing, but even a few days before that. And she was very, very weak and was not even able to open her eyes. And even when we would talk to her, we have to talk very loudly. And then she would like slightly open the eyes and like recognize and then talk, have a conversation, and then kind of close her eyes back. So reading this, I mean, I'm just filled with so much
fresh memory.
But appreciation is probably a very weak word. I'm looking for a stronger word. A lot of just how great Bhishma Dev was, that his eyes were fully open, and his mind must have been so attracted to and so fixed on Krishna that he was just having a wonderful time just looking at Krishna in his last few moments. So that's the thought that was coming to my mind.
When the body, the circumstance must have been filled with pain. And it's one thing to tolerate pain, it's another thing to transcend pain. It sounds like he's transcended pain because of his Krishna consciousness, because of absorption. Yeah, exceptional. Great. Yes.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. What is the significance of mentioning four-handed form? In the
I don't know. I was wondering. What I didn't do, maybe I can do before tomorrow morning's class, what I didn't do was look through commentaries to see what commentaries have to say about the four hands. They probably speak something about it. I didn't do that. Before tomorrow morning's class, I'll do that. Something else? Anyone else?
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. Throughout Srimad Bhagavatam, there are great personalities where we can draw some inspiration, and Bhishma Dev, Sri Narad Muni, Prahlad, and Dhruv Maharaj. And the common thing among all these great personalities is they are fixed in Krishna consciousness. And if we see Bhishma Dev, what other unique qualities we can get or draw some inspiration?
He's a fighter. He was virtuous. He had proper discretion about what's to be done, what's not to be done. Although he made some choices that were there from an external point of view, they're a little puzzling. Like fighting on the side of the Kauravas. Anyway, so those are some outstanding characters. As a Mahajan, he knows the conclusion and knows how to apply the conclusion in different circumstances. So we consult the Mahajans because they have answers. You know the verse. The verse, the circumstance where the Yaksha comes out of the lake and asks questions of Maharishi Yudhisthira and how to understand the conclusions of scriptures and Tarka Apratishta, Mahajana Yena Katasa Panta. So that's one of his qualifications, aside from the thread of, a pure devotee. Not beside, but it's a special characteristic of Bhishma Dev. Knowing the scriptures and the application of scriptures in all circumstances. That's it. Srila Prabhupada ki.